Ruth was on a date with her fiance at a restaurant. She lifted the lid of the plate. George stared in shock at the photos of his infidelity on the plate. Ruth told George, "Our wedding is off." George stopped Ruth as she tried to leave. He threatened her that the wedding couldn't be cancelled. Ruth picked up her wine glass. She asked loudly if anyone wanted to marry her. From the corner, Tom raised his hand. Ruth glanced at Tom. Then she took his hand and walked out. 20 minutes later, Ruth led Tom into a suit store. She told the manager, "James, get Tom a suit." 10 minutes later, Tom put on the suit and walked up to Ruth. Ruth and James discussed how to alter the suit. Tom took off the suit. He checked the price tag. He whispered to Ruth that he couldn't afford it. Ruth said she'd buy it for him. Tom pulled up a stool and sat next to Ruth. Ruth told Tom about George's cheating. Tom felt sorry. He asked how she knew George. Ruth sadly said, "George and I have known each other since we were kids. The wedding was arranged by our parents, but I never liked George." Ruth told Tom they needed to dance tomorrow. Tom smiled and asked her to practice here. As they danced closely, Ruth's father Peter and George walked in. Peter told Tom he could go home. Ruth tried to introduce Tom to Peter. Peter pulled Ruth aside and said, "I know George has been sleeping with other women, but tomorrow's wedding affects both families, so you have to agree tomorrow." Tom stepped up to Peter. He asked how a father could ignore his daughter's feelings. Peter didn't answer. Tom went on, "Ruth should choose her own life, not marry a cheating man." George angrily insulted Tom. Peter warned George, "I only let you marry Ruth because of my relationship with your parents, but you wronged Ruth. Now you can go home." The next morning, Tom sat in the shop as usual. Ruth stood outside the window in her wedding dress. She smiled and asked if he'd marry her. Tom immediately dropped to one knee. He sincerely declared his love. Ruth happily said yes.